So there are some tools and technologies where you can maximize. There are collaboration tools like what we are using now, the Zoom, that's for video conferences. There's Google Meet, and there is Microsoft Teams. In this company, we make use of Google Meet most times and Zoom. And then there's also instant messaging like Slack, Google Workspaces, Google Chats, and then in Microsoft Teams. We also have some communication tools like project management tools like Asana. And we also have document sharing tools like Google Workspace. It's very easy when you are working with a team on a particular document and everybody's seeing what is going on and they're making their inputs. There's also productivity tools, time management tools, and virtual whiteboards. So you can, in your own spare time, I know that most of us have been able to, we have made good use of some of these tools, but in your own spare time, also check what are the other tools I don't know about. How can I maximize them? Because life can be really easy when you know how to make use of quite a number of tools. So the question I want to ask us is, please, I would love everyone to maybe unmute and give their own contribution. What's your favorite feature of a remote collaboration tool you use? And how does it enhance your productivity? Can I start with Mr. AY?
So when you say what's your favorite feature of a remote collaboration tool, which of the remote collaboration tool are we talking about?
Anyone from collaboration tools, communication to any tools whatsoever that you can think of that you use, and how productive, how is it helping you to be productive?
Okay, I think for the most part of it, the one we have here that I use, okay, I know I use Google Meet, I use Slack. My favorite feature of a remote collaboration tool has to do with the Google Meet. And for the Google Meet, of course, in as much as we're working remotely, in trying to set up a meeting, for me, it's kind of very fast to do that using Google Meet. And you don't need to go through any trouble of, once you just enter Google Meet, you see instant meeting, and it's very easy for you to share that particular meeting invite to team members. And I think that's Google Meet, and also the Google Calendar also, trying to schedule meetings and reminder for for my work and for priority based tools. I think that's all for me.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, sorry, my mic was not muted. Was still muted. So I would say I like the feature in Asana where you have reminders and you get to see your tasks and you get to mark them as well when you are through with them. So I like the fact that I can always go there, or I could also set a reminder. That's the feature I love about Asana. I also love the whole Google space, being able to add events to your calendar, being able to add maybe deadlines as well to your calendar. Yeah, that's the feature I love about Google too. And so many others too. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, AY. Can we have a female this time? Can we have Juliet?
Okay, I think one of my favorite tools is Asana. I like the feature of it always sends me reminder of my tasks and their due dates. So it's helped me to track my deadlines, the deadlines for my deliverables, and to able to deliver on time. So that's one of my favorite feature about that. I also like Slack, and I like the feature that you can turn your online, and when you close from work as a remote worker, you can turn off your notification. So those are my two favorite.
Okay, thank you, Julie. Thank you, Ewa. Thank you, Marvelous. So I will leave the rest to make comments on the next question. So we have effective communication. So these are some of the communication best practices that we can utilize. Setting clear expectations. Most times, the challenges that people have is when they don't really have clear expectation. You can also have active listening and feedbacks, then virtual meeting ethics. So I will want to maybe point out some few things about this virtual meeting ethics. Apologies. That's one of the things I'm talking about. So most times as remote workers, there are so many things that we have to do virtually. And most times, most people don't really know the ethics to etiquette, whatever you call it, to virtual meetings, like muting your mic when there's a noise or when you're not speaking, like turning off your camera when maybe you're not, when it's necessary, and the likes. I don't know if there are some other things that you can think of. You can just unmute your mic and let's share the ideas of some of the etiquette that we believe that we can, so that it can also help us to, maybe if you did not have an idea, you can also learn from this. Can someone speak on that?
Yeah, good afternoon, team. Can you hear me?
Yes, Emmanuel, can hear.
All right, so one thing I can add is maybe using the feature of raising hands. I think that helps. Although we don't, me myself personally, I don't follow it to the T, but it helps in terms of maybe for instance we're answering a question on use the raising hand feature, so people don't talk at the same time and cut people off, and then the speaker knows that there's somebody looking to ask a question or to contribute. So that feature also on a collaborative space also helps as an etiquette.
Continue. So overcoming communication barriers as dealing with time zone differences. I remember one of the occasions that I had to set a meeting for somebody that was outside the country, and I used my country's time zone, and it was quite a problem because it actually reminded the person, I think in the middle of the night or something, and it was a little bit challenging. So I had to reschedule that meeting. Then also cultural sensitivity and inclusivity. So so some of these barriers can be a little bit difficult to navigate, but if we can understand it better, it helps us to in our communication. So the question in this particular slide is, what strategies have you found effective in maintaining clear communication with your remote team? So I would love someone I have not spoken before to maybe unmute and speak. Mrs. G, can we have you?
Yeah, so a strategy for effective, like maintaining effective and clear communication would be having people respond to emails, especially after they've received it, like just an acknowledged or yes, thank you, and all of that. It just makes it clear that you have seen it and okay, the other person is also in the loop, regardless of the time zone. And it's very important for a remote team to have that.
Wow, that's very nice, Joseph. Okay, so managing remote teams. The first one here is leadership in a remote environment, leading with empathy and flexibility. I've already spoken about this. Also understanding that people are not in the same location, and there might be other things happening that might limit people's performance, and also performance management and accountability. as a remote worker, you should be able to communicate effectively to your team if something have to go wrong or if you can't meet up with your deadline. Then setting goals and tackling progress. I've already spoken about SMART goals for remote teams and also using KPIs and OKRs. And then lastly, providing support and resources, ensuring access to necessary tools and training, and then promoting work-life balance and mental health. So the question I want us to contribute to is, how do you build and maintain trust with colleagues you've never met before? I know there are some people in this team that definitely you have never seen in person. It's just online. So let's see my screen. So who else can answer for us? Anybody, even if you have spoken before, you can unmute and speak.
I think Juliet will be in the best position because she has not met plenty of us.
All right, Juliet, we want to hear from you. How do you maintain trust with us? You've never seen me in person.
Yeah, okay. Well, I think I trust the fact that everybody has a signing agreement with the company, with HR, like when they came in, everybody has a written contract. So I believe every one of us here is working in line with the contracts we signed. So that's how I'm able to work like freely. And then the fact that there's accountability. We have the chief of staff, we always report, like there's someone you're reporting to, and the person holds you accountable. When we hold team meetings, we are not secretive. Nobody is hiding what they're doing. You say what you're doing, and then if there's any question for you, you are being questioned in that meeting. So yeah, the fact that everything is happening publicly, we're not hiding, we are not like correcting people behind, but you're correcting among. So that helps build trust with working with everybody. That's all. Thank
Okay.
you.
All right. Thank you, Juliet. I think another person that we've not really seen in person is Marvelous. Marvelous, I know you have spoken already, but can you also share?
So, in the aspect of building trust, it's all about keeping to your word. Let your yes be yes and your no be no. So, when you tell someone that, okay, you get this done, the time that you have given the person should also be the time that you should get it done, before or on that time, because over time it helps to build integrity and trust. So against all odds, we should try as much as possible to keep to our words. So
Okay, thank you, Marvelous. Thank you, Juliet, for sharing. So we move to the part where everyone has to say something. I think I've not heard some people's voices, and even if you have said something, I would really love you to still unmute, and then we'll take each question. So let's share our stories. What was your biggest mistake when you first started working remotely? Can I start? Okay, let me start. Some people are going to laugh at me. Some people already know the story. So my first mistake when I started working remotely was there was a particular email I was supposed to send to each person in for a training independently, but I mistakenly, because I wanted to finish it fast, I would say, or I wasn't sure of how to go about it. So I literally sent the email to everyone at the same time. And because there was a contract that was signed that the email privacy and the stuff like that. So I didn't know about the contract anyway. So sending the emails made everyone in the every one of the trainers to have, so they have access to everyone's email. They could easily reach out to them individually. So and I really felt bad about the whole situation because it was not just a company stuff, it was more like an international stuff. And for days, it was in my head, I couldn't sleep. So that was my first mistake. So please can be on mute and speak individually. Mrs. Glory, you might have to speak now. We want to hear you.
So, one of my was it a mistake? I wouldn't say it's a mistake because I didn't know. So there was a project I was supposed to write some reports on when I joined the company, and the project had been ongoing, and I was now supposed to write the report. I wasn't part of the project. So coming up to write a report that you weren't involved in the process is quite taxing. First of all, I joined the company as a researcher before I got to where I am now. So I was a researcher then. And I started writing the reports. Like I went back and forth with that report for almost 3-4 days. I had to even wake up in the midnight. I will pray on top of that report. Because when you submit it, of course, boss will say, you did not put charts. It's not looking fine. There's no graph. So it was just, I wouldn't call it a mistake. It was really challenging, but it pushed me to learn because I'm going to always say this, that when I joined the company, okay, I know how to use the Microsoft tools and all, but anything about Google Workspace, I had no idea about it. And when I joined the company was when I was forced to have to create my first slides. And it was used for a pitch that we had. So when I joined the company, I had to learn how to create slides. So yes, that was one of the things I learned. Yes, that's a challenge. And okay, my personal routine or habit that helps me stay productive and balanced. Okay. So every morning I wake up, take my baths. Most times, 80% of the times I leave my house to a neighboring house to go and work. So I give myself a working time. I leave my house before 8, and by 5:30 I close from work and I come back home. And if I must stay at home, I lock my room. And if I don't want to stay in my room, I have a workstation in my house, a table and an office chair, an office table where I sit to work. So it helps me stay productive, and it helps me gain balance. That's basically it.
Amazing. Thank you very much for sharing. So can someone else go? I'm not seeing all our names on the screen, so I would not want to be calling the ones I've seen. So please you can unmute or you raise your hand and then I'll call you.
Can I go ahead?
Yes, you can. Marvelous.
Okay, so as regards my role in the company, when I first came working with Mr. Obrad, I had to design a brochure for the US, and one of the things about remote work is it gives you that opportunity to work with international people in other countries, and they also have their different ways they do things. So I had finished the brochure and I used Nigerian standard dimension, that's the size. And after doing it, I sent it and I got the shocker of my life that the US, they have a different dimension. So I had to resize everything again. That was one. Something also, okay. I'll say, yeah, that's like one of the shockers I've gotten. You know, one thing I've learned in this remote work is that you don't have to limit yourself with where you are. The world out there is very different from where I am. And I need to have sufficient knowledge and also keep learning of different cultures and how they do things also in different places. That's it for me.
Okay, you still have one more to go or two, I think. If you want. Can you share your personal routine habit and how it helps you to be productive and stay balanced?
Okay. So yeah, another challenge I faced, initially was most times now, in recent times, I go out to work. But before I normally at home, but somehow it wasn't working. So what I do now is I list out the tasks I have for the day or tasks that I know are supposed to be delivered, and I head out and try as much as possible to do all of them. And when it's time for me to close, I go back home. So yeah, that has really helped me to be productive in recent times.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Marvelous. Thank you, Lori, for sharing. Then we have another person. Joseph, can you unmute and say something about this? I want to hear your story.
All right, that's wonderful. So for me, it's two things, and one is actually recent. Just like Marvelous said, I was opportuned to edit a video interview for, of course, an international organization, an international business, and the difference in like the cultural difference was alarming. It actually took me by surprise. There were some words that were said by the interviewee that typically in the Nigerian setting, it works, it's fine, it's a very beautiful humor. But them over there in the US, they it's an offense basically. So I was corrected, and I had to take down that particular video, and we couldn't take it up again. So that's one for mistakes that I've made as a remote worker and learning. And then what helps me to be productive is my workstation. It's just compartmentalized. There's a place for the phones, there's a place for the laptop, there's a place for stationaries, and then there's always an open book or a notepad that is always open that has my tasks for the day written down at the right side of my desk. So it helps me know, okay, this is what I have to finish before today is over, and this is all the things I need to do in my life for these next 24 hours. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing, Marvelous. So let's go over to Chinedu. Oh, I didn't hear your voice at all. Are you in this meeting, please?
Yes, definitely.
Can you share?
Okay, one of the things that makes me productive is the fact that I don't have to take everything on me. So, personally, my attention span is very little. But I also like to whenever I'm working on something or I'm trying to complete a task, my attention span is very little. Sometimes at best, maybe 10 to 15 minutes. So I always try to take little breaks in between every 10 minutes so that I take 1 minute or 2 minutes, just to maybe walk around, pace around. Then I'm able to come back, and because of that little break, I was able to regain focus and continue trying to work on instead of just going a long stretch. Also, I also like to break it down into chunks, sometimes 2 hours at a time. 2 hours with 15 minutes study sessions is I think 2 minutes, 3 minutes in between each 15 minutes. Then that is right again. So I'm able to be much more productive instead of just going stretch. So that's how
All right. Thank you, everyone, for sharing your story. So at this point, I would just like to say that mastering remote collaboration is very important. It cannot be overemphasized because of the rate at which the world is growing. in the technological space. So I believe this training will be able to equip us with every knowledge and skills that we need to navigate the challenges of a remote space. And then understanding some of these mistakes that some of us have mentioned, and even the ones you have not heard of, and also learning from your past mistakes and learning more things can also help you to balance well and grow in this space. So thank you very much for your time.